But what I'm trying to say is, if you follow my point, those parents, as they said, look for their children to do greater things than they did. Okay? Now that we have educated you, so to speak, because when you pick up arms, or when we talk about pick up arms, and this is one of the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad never wanted to, although even so, to an extent, arms were offered. Because he said, when you had arms, when you have a gun, then it is easier for me to shoot you because you are armed. And I don't know what your intention is. But if I know you're unarmed, and others know you're unarmed, the world will come against me for shooting an unarmed man, so to speak.
Well, no, that hasn't worked out.
Wait. I mean, I'm just saying
that hasn't worked out.
The chances are. What I'm trying to say,
they're shooting unarmed black men all over the United States right now.
All over.
In Jamaica.
But what I'm...
Trinidad, when I went to Trinidad the other day, you know, when I passed through Jamaica, 3 young kids, young black men, were shot down by the police. When I went to Trinidad, every day I was down there, the police was doing their thing down there with young people down there. Yeah. And in the Bahamas, they shooting young black people.
Yeah, but
they ain't got no guns.
You see,
innocent people.
What I'm trying to, we're talking about now, what I try to lead up to, is a system. We have educated our children. They've gone into, like you, lawyers. Too many know the law, in my, and haven't done anything. It's just like having doctors. Everybody you see today, every reverend now is a doctor. But you have more sick people in the neighborhood than you ever had in history.
But you know why?
What I'm trying to say, there's a responsibility of this generation because they took the same test, they were called to the bar by who I don't know, maybe the wrong people. Because if they are called to the bar, they know the law, and they know this oppressive law that have kept their forefathers down. My question to you, why haven't you changed it?
Well, but Brother Ali, you know as well as I know that there are progressive lawyers out there. They're not just 1 or 2 progressive lawyers, there are quite a few.
Yeah.
I attended a conference in Toronto in in the 1980s. It was an international conference of black lawyers from across the 4 corners of the globe. It's one of the most beautiful experiences of my life.
I couldn't
imagine. You had all of the revolutionaries were there. SWAPO, I met Toivo, I have a picture with him. You had people from South Africa, from the ANC. They were still in colonial bondage. You had people from the African liberation struggle. You had people from the Central American liberation struggles. You had people from Cuba. And it was a brilliant experience. I mean, but the part of the problem is, you do have progressive lawyers out there. But the legal system, it is the system, Brother Ali, the system that we service. It is called the black letter law tradition. So it means, it goes back to what you're saying, and I know I interrupted you, but you know, I feel strongly on this. You have people who see the image of the world in the eyes of Europe. Fanon talks about this. They see Europe as the ideal. They see the English legal system as the ideal. They don't look at the traditional legal systems we had in Mother Africa and hold them without any kind of venerance and respect. They look down on the traditions and the culture and the laws of Africa as a profession because we train to see it in the eyes of the black letter law tradition. So part of our process, I don't think you can blame the lawyers. No, I think you need to look at the system of governance, the system of the way we train our lawyers, the system of the way our lawyers practice, the system of the way the land is dealt with, because we are disempowered. See, the first thing those brothers did when they went on contract is they bought land. Many of them bought land in Nassau Village. They stayed in the States and they lost that land. Because at the end of the day, our legal system doesn't encourage honest tenureship of the land. Stewardship of the land in this country is for quick buck, fast as you could make it.
But Brother Hannah,
and
you know,
you sell your birthright from a mess of pottage, you'll end up with nothing.
Yeah, the point is, I want to hold each generation responsible for a job that they have to do, they should have done, and if you haven't done it. Listen, the book that guides people, that guides most people, say man is here for 70 years. If you came out of school when you were 20-something years old as a lawyer, and now you are 50 or 60, and all you have is a couple $1 million, and living in a big house.
That's all you get. Man, I could do it with one, you know. I want a couple, you know. I only want one.
Living in a big house, have 2 sweethearts,
yeah,
and you drive a fine car, and you think you have arrived. I would like you to know you have not arrived.
Yeah.
Because you have not done.
There's a lot of young lawyers who have that attitude.
They have that attitude because they are learning it from the older ones who have caused this enslaved mentality to continue. You can't blame your father for something that you did not do. And if there are corruption in land issues that didn't start with the like you said, since 1992. What I'm trying to say is, let's don't continue to talk about this tumor. Let's cut it.
Okay.
Let's get rid of it.
But for you to get rid of it, and any doctor will tell you this, Brother Ali.
Yeah.
First of all, you need an analysis of what the problem is.
Yeah.
So this commission of inquiry they're having now, for instance, they need to go back from the time of colonial days,
yeah, and
to look at the system of land law.
Yeah.
You know, land law in England is based on slavery. The feudal system is based on feudalism. These estates, you know, when the Normans conquered England, the king sat on a hill and he had his generals and he divided the land up amongst his generals. They didn't own the land, he owned all of that land. They owned estates in the land. You never own land, you own an estate in the land. And that estate meant that when he ready to go to war, they had to give him an army to go to fight.
Yeah, but
so
you see,
the people. Let me just make the point for you, so you can understand the system, because you must understand the system you want to change. The states under that, you had a system of sub-states. So all the way down, tenure, different sockage and tenure. You know, is an interesting topic, but it goes down that everybody, until at the bottom of the pyramid, you had the mass of the people. They didn't own anything. They were on the land, and when the fellow, if your wife get married today, the lord of that land could come and sleep the first night. They had that right of first night with that woman, your wife. And you didn't have a freedom. You belonged to the person who held the estate. Now, this is where our land law comes from. And it comes from a system that couldn't come to terms with how to define us as whether we were property or not. It had a lot of contradictions in how they defined it. The American system, legal system, had a lot of contradictions how they defined slaves. They went backwards and forwards. But at the end of the day, our people have been disempowered to the point that we need now something completely different. We need to have a referendum. And Brother Ali, I've been shown a sign, but I just want to finish this thought. We need to have a referendum in this country about whether the land should be sold at all. See, in African tradition, and you're going back to Africa, in Africa you could never sell the land. It belonged to the future generations. The European rule, the law that Europe brought that was based on their slave system that they developed in their own countries, said that you can sell the land. And basically, if you sell the land, whoever wants to be on the land has to pay to be on the land to the person who owns it, who owns the estate. So when we come back, I know I've dominated this discussion, but I promise you, I didn't keep my promise the last break. I promise you, you're going to finish off the show, and I can shut my mouth, Brother Ali, because it's not that I disagree with you. I agree with everything you're saying, but it's just that I think it's a lot of context we need to place this in, and I want our audience to be a little more aware of what this legal system is all about. Take a break, and we'll be right back. Thank you very much.
A long time coming. but I know a change gonna